to bring it back to this House of Commons at this moment is a moral outrage, which, if it is possible, adds even further shame to our current government.
We're here because the government has brought back today for its third reading a pernicious bill, an anti-boycott bill. We are here and we have brought to Parliament today a coalition of more than 70 organisations, climate justice groups, faith groups, human rights groups, civil society groups, all united in our view that this bill is a threat to freedom of expression, it's a threat to the responsibilities of public bodies to make ethical investment decisions, not to invest in companies that are complicit in violations of international law, and it's going to disrupt a whole range of legitimate campaigns for social justice, for climate justice and for international justice. But we know the main target of this bill. The main target of this bill is the Palestinian campaign for justice and the Palestinian boycott, divestment and sanctions campaign. And the pernicious argument the government is trying to make that if you are calling for companies not to invest in supporting Israel's violation of international law, if you are calling for public bodies not to invest in companies that are supporting Israel's implementation of a system of apartheid, then you are doing something anti-Semitic, because Israel is a Jewish state. It's a pernicious argument, it has no justification, and it undermines real anti-racist work. So we are here today trying to get this bill defeated. We know the vote will go against us tonight, but we take the battle to the House of Lords. There is a massive body of opposition in the Lords. We continue to campaign to fight this bill, but we also deliver this message for this government to be bringing this bill back at this moment when the Palestinian people are confronting what more and more authoritative voices, supported tomorrow by the state of South Africa in its submission to the ICJ, when more and more people are recognising that what Israel is doing constitutes a genocide, for our government not only to fail to call for a ceasefire, but to devote energy in trying to suppress the Palestinian people's right to call for non-violent action to support their rights, is morally bankrupt, it is grotesque. That's why we're protesting, and on Saturday we're going to be out on the streets again in our hundreds of thousands, this time as part of a global day of action. There are going to be people mobilising in more than 60 cities across the world, in dozens of countries across 6 continents, millions of people marching, calling for a ceasefire, calling for an end to the genocide, and for calling for the entire system of apartheid to be dismantled. So that's what we're doing tonight, and that's what we'll be doing again on Saturday.
I am here today because I'm concerned about the daily murdering by Israeli state terrorists of the people in Palestine. Last night at the United Nations, the ambassador of Pakistan addressed the General Assembly, and he called for an immediate ceasefire, and he also condemned the terrorism of the Israelis in Gaza. And after that then 14 ambassadors from the Arab ambassadors in the Council of the Arab ambassadors in the United Nations, they stood with the Palestinian ambassador to the United Nations, and they all called, the whole 15 of them called for a ceasefire, and they also condemned the terrorism of the apartheid state of Israel. And I have come here tonight because the House of Commons is passing a bill making it illegal for councils or pension funds to have boycotts against Israel. Now, I, as an Irish Republican, totally condemn that, because during the apartheid regime, the Irish government was the first government in the world to ban the importation of goods from South Africa. And I think that Rishi Sunak should be ashamed of himself as the British Prime Minister for introducing this bill, because he comes from the nation of Gandhi, and Gandhi called for a boycott of all British goods. And if Rishi Sunak was around in the time of Gandhi, what would he do? Would opposed Gandhi in calling for a boycott of British goods. And the British politicians are the most hypocritical and dishonest in the world. For many years they called, particularly Starmer and Sunak, the Labour Party and the Tory Party, they called on the IRA in Ireland to have a ceasefire. They kept on and on and on about it. And now they're having the guts to call for a ceasefire in Palestine. They don't want a ceasefire. In other words, they're supporting war, they're supporting genocide, and they're supporting murder, and they're all hypocritical, the whole damn lot of them, and they should be all ashamed of themselves.